Hey, hey, hey. What do you say? Look who's
Hey,
back.
look who's back in the captain's chair. I did not like being in the captain's chair by myself.
I would say you're always in the captain's chair. I'm in the co-pilot chair, but
No, no.
I will say that I was driving back,
Yeah, you were texting as well. Shame on you.
and not as much as I wanted to because I saw people talking trash in the comments about me. So I was
Well,
dying not to pull over and argue, but
I I told them that you probably wouldn't be on the podcast listening, so
I
it was
noticed
open
most
season.
of the comments, Anthony. I mean,
Well, it is starting to fill up there. Drop your comments in there as usual. Thank you for being here. It's I think this whole Tuesday night thing is working out. I I I like it a little bit better.
I would agree. Monday Night Football, Monday Night Raw, because I'm a wrestling guy. So this is, and I work on Mondays at the shop. So this is kind of a better day for me too. So
Yeah. Yeah. So let me just hit the rundown real quick. This is our format for now. I think if we ever get to a season 2, we may jumble it up a little bit. But we always start with the opening rip. We find a topic. This week it's going to be about football and baseball, and sort of
surprise.
try to tie that back into the hobby. Then we talk about what's heading to the shelves this week at Grand Slam, along with available breaks. There's a juicy break still out there that needs to get filled. So looking for some help on that, guys. And then we look behind the counter. We got an interesting topic for behind the counter, and then we're going to tie that into another topic that has just been very, very prevalent in the hobby content world, which is all about the whole grading thing. So we'll talk about that. Then card from the vault, then products and events we got to look forward to, and
Trade night.
then that's right, and then crazy stat of the week. But before that, a little bit of banter. So, Josh, you went to Florida. What part of Florida did you go to?
We went to Destin, Florida. Never been there. We last year at this time we went to Hilton Head, just a little family getaway, kind of
Right.
like the end of the summer. One last little take the kids to the ocean trip, and since school had started last year, we were at Hilton Head and it was like peaceful and quiet and nothing was busy. We
Mm-hmm.
had the pool to yourself almost, there'd be some older people there. We were like, this is really nice. So this year, my wife booked it a while ago, but I want to make that extra drive down to Florida for some nicer sandy beaches, white sandy beaches, and down there for a few days. And so we did that. And again, hardly any kids, very low traffic. A lot of people were out of Florida because of the hurricane, even though we weren't anywhere close to that.
Right.
So it was, I tell everyone, it was as good as you could have with 5 kids. So
Nice, nice. No, I love the Panhandle. I mean, it's just you don't see that. I grew up on the East Coast in Charleston, and it creeps me out swimming in water that I can't see through anyway. So, but the water there is beautiful. The sand there is beautiful. Destin is a
yeah,
great
there
place.
isn't a card shop in Destin, believe it or not, because that's one thing I like to do when I'm in another place. And there was a store called Second and Charles. We went there. It's um, I don't know, maybe privately owned, kind
Yep.
of Book Million on
Hmm.
steroids, but lots of gaming stuff and
Yep.
no sports cards at all, but lots of books, lots of movies, lots of music and posters. And my kids like to look at the action figures and the toys and
Right.
the board games and stuff. So we went to that Second and Charles a couple times.
Yeah.
Card shop. I was hoping there was a card shop down there.
Yeah, Second and Charles is a good place to put a mental Christmas list together. There's a lot of knickknacks and games and really cool stuff. I'd forgotten you went to Hilton Head last year. I think I told this joke last year about the average age in Hilton Head is deceased. I mean, it is slow there. I lived there for 15 years, and
Yeah.
yeah, if you're looking for a place to relax, that's the
Yeah.
place to be. All right. Opening rip time. I'm sure that banter just put everybody to sleep. George, hello, and high
Hey,
five.
there's George. What's up, George?
High five to you.
Oh, I'm going to send you a picture, Michael,
Yep.
that George sent me, and we'll throw it up on the screen in a little bit. It was really cool. So George probably knows
Absolutely.
what I'm talking
Well, we have wrapped up week 5 in the NFL. And I tell you, if you ever want me to like sabotage, a fantasy football team, just have me pick it, because every player that
Or
I
have you
have,
invest in their cards.
absolutely, because every player from Russell Wilson to Matt Ryan to Justin Fields has laid a complete egg. But I'm not going to sit there and just get on my soapbox about that. It happens. But man, it's tough. But week 5 takes, I'm going to split this up into 3 sort of categories: fake or real, better than we think, and worse than we think. So, fake or real, Josh? The New York Football Giants.
I think they're 4-1. I want to say they're real, but they're not 8-2, 14-3 real. I think they're, when Saquon is healthy, Daniel Jones is serviceable.
Yeah,
they could kind of hang with anybody. So I don't want to say fake, but I don't want to say real. I don't think they're going very far, but I think they're no longer a laughing stock and a team you can just count as an automatic win.
I
So
agree.
that's a gray answer, but gray, not great. That's a gray answer. That's my thought on the Giants.
And I'm leaning completely on you on this, just because I was elbow deep in kids and birthday parties this weekend. So I watched hardly any football. So I just grabbed the sort of the win-loss columns and picked stuff that I thought stuck out to me. Better than we think. The Bengals. Are the Bengals better than we think they are?
I think they're better than their record shows, but I think last year was kind of a little magical little journey for them. And
I
think they're coming back to earth a little bit. Joe Burrow has no protection. I think if he could get more protection, there's no doubt they would be better, but so would every team in the NFL. But
Matt Roper, this is a family show. Just kidding. That comment's funny.
Oh, I was about to say, well, what are you talking about?
Fantastic. Hello, it's Cobbs.
Matt Roper, you must have saw the Drew McIntyre Karrion Kross strap match. Is that what you're talking about? That's an inside WWE joke only he would get.
Who's it's Cobb?
That's Jacob.
Jacob, what's up, man? And George, he thinks the G-men are real. So.
Yeah, so it's I would lean towards real as long as Saquon's healthy. He's like MVP caliber good.
Yeah,
when he's healthy.
Yeah, yep. And then worse than we think. The 49ers, are they worse than we think?
They're atop the division, which the Rams have really been a surprise this year. We thought the Seahawks would be bad, and they're 2-3, although I think they're better than we thought they would be. Cardinals are not looking very good. So the Niners are probably going to win that division, I bet you.
Ooh. Wow.
Unless the Rams just kind of – but the Rams look very un-Ram-like. And I think it's because I drafted Matt Stafford as my quarterback in every league. Because that's one thing you could count on for Stafford is stats. And he's not even doing that. So if I had a gun to my head and had to pick a winner in that division, I'm probably picking the 49ers.
Yeah. Yep. They're just they look like a solid team, right?
And Jimmy G is just a quarterback that will just keep them not doing anything stupid. Right. You know, he's a game man.
Jacob, I apologize. I need to write these things down. Then Matt says he hasn't watched Extreme Rules yet. What in the world is in Tuscaloosa? No good reason to ever be in Tuscaloosa there, Matt.
Birthday, I think. Didn't Drew have a birthday?
I think that's between the Auburn Tiger and the the Bama dude. So,
do you have
rivalry there.
any other teams in that list? Or
No, I just wanted to keep it short and sweet because we do have a lot to talk about. But if you want to add some teams in there, like I said, I didn't watch much. Unfortunately, our hometown team looks like they couldn't beat their way out of a paper bag, and because of that, they fired the coach. Sometimes that ignites a team. Sometimes it sort of inspires a team to sort of rally together when a head coach is fired, or it could just cause some sort of a downward spiral and they clean house. So we'll see. Any thoughts on our beloved Panthers?
Well, it sucks that the moment they lose their horrible coach, which needed to happen, then Baker sprains his ankle and he's out for 2 to 3 weeks. So it's like maybe this would have been a little something for a little opportunity for Baker to shine.
Yeah.
But it looks like Darnold will probably get the start for a few weeks. But I got a funny tidbit about this weekend. Going into Monday night, Daniel Jones and I, in our Grand Slam Fantasy Football League, we were virtually tied. We each had a player left. He had Josh Jacobs, and I had Travis Kelce. Josh Jacobs was having a game of the year for him, scored like 34 points in our league. So about the only thing that could happen for me to win would be something crazy like Travis Kelce catches 4 touchdown passes. Well, Travis Kelce caught 4 touchdown passes,
Boom.
And I won. Daniel Jones is in the chat. Daniel, I felt bad because but going into Monday night, we had to kind of assume Kelce was going to score more than Jacobs. That's a fair prediction, but it did look like I was up a creek, and then Kelce, every time they'd get down there, Kelce. But
bailed you out.
And Jacob had Josh Jacobs and Travis Kelce both starting. So yeah, I would be surprised if you did not win your fantasy football week.
Matt, that has got to be a nasty rumor, right? Please tell me that Matt Rule is not going to coach the Auburn Tigers. Tell me you're just picking on me at this point.
Did you see did you see that he's going to get like, what was it, $487,000 a month for like the next 48 months or whatever is $40 million still owed over 4 years?
That's
Could you imagine that? I get to go sit at home if I want and do nothing and get $40 million. And I think whatever that is, it was 480 something thousand or 800 and something thousand a month. I think it was 800,000 a month for 48 months.
That's nuts.
You can fire me any day, Tepper.
No kidding. Kevin, I'm hoping it's a bad rumor, like a rumor with a whole bunch of holes in it. All right, so that's football. I think there was something about the Raiders. George has another hot take. The Raiders are better than the record.
Well,
so
I would agree with that. They could have very easily beat the Chiefs last night, and I think there's a couple games this year they could have very easily won. So I would agree with that.
It's been a weird football season. You and I talked about that in the pregame. It's just been funky, right? Yeah. There are things that just don't pass the eyeball test, and things that are so counterintuitive that no one expected. And so we're headed to, we're more than a quarter of the way through the season. And usually the cream starts rising to the top, but there have been some weird injuries. There have been some surprising teams. So I think by the time we get to, that week 8 or 9, if these trends don't start reversing themselves that we're seeing, then it could end up being just a wild ride through the playoffs. So, and speaking of,
go ahead.
Well, go ahead. I was about to segue.
Okay, yeah, don't segue yet. I want to defend for a second the call on the Brady call on the roughing the passer. You guys know I'm a Brady homer, so I'm going to defend this. That call was so bad, I cannot defend it because it was that bad. It was one of the worst calls you'll ever see. It should not have been roughing the passer. But could it have been possibly a makeup call from the play right before where there was egregious pass interference that they did not call that would have solidified the game? So let's keep in mind that everyone that hates Brady and wanted the Buccaneers to lose. And let's also remember, kind of like the Seattle Super Bowl, let's say that they don't call roughing the passer there. The Buccaneers get fourth down. They kick the ball. The Falcons get the ball back deep in their territory with a minute or two to score a touchdown to win it. Let's be real. That's not a guarantee. So to say that the Falcons were screwed, they should have won that game because of that call, is too far-fetched. They would have probably still lost the game. And the play before that was horrible. As horrible as the roughing the passer call. So.
Yeah, very rarely, very, very, very rarely do games come down to one call. Everything sort of builds and is cumulative. So, but yeah. I was wondering when you were going to.
I had to defend that, even though that was the worst roughing.
Well, I think the NFL, no one wants to see what happened to Tua ever happen to anybody, whether you're a fan of them or not. So there's going to be a big overreaction.
I guess there was another one last night. I didn't see it, but I guess they're discussing those calls and those types of calls going forward this season. So that could be cool if they kind of chill out there a little bit.
All right.
You can segue now.
Okay. Segueing over to the diamond. The wild card was wild. The wild card round was wild. A lot of games sort of teams losing the grip on the games late in the late innings, a lot of excitement. And so I'm going to throw these matchups to you. And I want you to give me a sort of a guess at who's going to win, and a player, if your pick ends up winning and moving on to the World Series, a card you would like to have in hand, ready to move at the World Series. So let's go through your picks first. So Yankees, Guardians. Who do you like there?
I mean, it's kind of like the Patriots in their you just don't. I wouldn't bet against the Yankees. They're pretty loaded.
Yeah.
I
couldn't tell. Besides Ramirez, I couldn't tell you another name on the Guardians.
Yeah.
Maybe is it Shane Bieber still pitching for them, right?
Sure. See, yeah,
exactly.
I'm in the same
exactly. Boat. So I tend to agree. I think the Yankees will beat them. And is it Judge and only Judge of the cards that you're wanting to hold on to until World Series time?
Yeah, probably. Unless something unusual like a Rizzo just goes on a tear and gets some sort of an MVP maybe, but yeah, the spotlight would be on Judge. That would be my safer bet. And
here's a sneaky one.
And if you like Judge, stay with a little tease.
There you go. And I don't know if he's healthy, but here's a sneaky play. And it's always going to be a long term because he's a pitcher, but Garrett Cole. Maybe his early stuff, like if you could get his early stuff, I think he came up with the Pirates. Some Garrett Cole stuff, because he could have a special postseason if he's healthy. I don't know, but he's just one of those guys that can win 2 to 3 games in a series because he could be that dominant. All right, Mariners, Astros.
So I mean, the Astros won today. Jordan hit a 3-run walk-off home run. Am I right there? Yeah. So, and again, even without that, he would probably been the one that I would say. And I think if Ed's watching, I think Ed's a Stroh's guy and a Jordan guy. So that would be one. I actually have a couple of Jordans in the vault. Maybe next week, if they're doing well, he'll be my card.
See, I think the Mariners are on some sort of like one of those destiny sort of runs.
I'd be okay with that. For sure.
You don't go into the playoffs on a walk-off home run and that not affect the culture of your team. So I'd like to see the Mariners advance, and then take on the Yankees, because I think both of us are aligned on the Yankees. And as far as the Mariners, you'd think that I would say J-Rod,
Yeah.
but there's a rookie from last year's class that I hope takes off a little bit. Nope, Kellenic. I'm hoping that he catches fire, because he's sort of been the forgotten guy, because J-Rod's been so spectacular. So, all right, Phillies, Braves. And by the way, Matt Roper thinks that the Guardians win that series, not the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, the Guardians are probably one of those teams that we're just going to assume aren't going to do anything, and they'll probably be there.
I mean, guilty. I assume they're not going to do anything because I don't know anything about them. Like I literally can't speak to them, so I'm just going to be the meathead and say it's the Yankees. So, all right, Phillies, Braves.
Well, Phillies won today, so they're already up. My boy Schwarber. I don't know if I would. Something to keep in mind. I think the Braves are going to win that series, but if you look at the Phillies lineup, they're loaded. I'm trying to think who. I really think Alec Bohm. He's a stud.
Yep.
You got Bryce Harper in there, and actually Bryce Harper went 3 for 3 today. But if you're looking rookie wise and something in a recent past, probably Alec Bohm, maybe. He's a good player.
Yeah, he is.
Every time he played the Cubs, he just did awesome. So that's what he got in my head.
So I'm torn there, because both my boys, one of my boys loves the Braves and the other one loves the Phillies, and so or more so Bryce Harper, but so I'm torn there. The Phillies, it was always about whether or not the Phillies could field the ball. They were always going to have hitting on that team, but it was if they could get outs. But let's see if defense wins championships. The Braves get outs, and they've got a great pitching staff, so I'm going to pick the Braves.
And I would say for business wise in this area, the Braves would be awesome.
Yeah. And Acuna has been quiet this year. He's been very, very quiet.
Quietly fine. He's been playing right. He's been playing pretty good.
Yep.
From what I remember seeing.
So if there's a time to pick up some Acuna before he does something special in the World Series, now's the time. So how about Padres Dodgers?
Who's going to stop the Dodgers? I guess is
so Juan Soto is going to stop the Dodgers.
You know what? I think if there's ever a time for him to get some money, this would be the time. Everyone will look past his regular season woes, and they're not going to give a rip if he lights it up in the postseason.
Could you imagine if Tatis didn't get pinched? Could you imagine that lineup in a 7-game series if all 3 of those dudes start hitting the ball?
Could you imagine what Soto's stuff will do if he comes round to MVP form and carries them? His at the National, his bat, his first playoff home run bat was there, and our friend Aaron was looking at it and negotiating closely. But it was, if I remember right, like $75,000 was the asking price on that bat. His first postseason home run bat. So,
nice.
That'd be interesting.
Is that Matt? Is that Steven Kwan? Is he the rookie there? Steve Kwan? Let me know in the comments there, Matt. I think that he had the spotlight on him early in the season. I don't know if he maintained it, but I know that he was a rookie that people were looking at early in the season. So, all right, well, we've got this on tape. Let's see. On the Dodger side of things, I saw a stat. I should have used it for stat of the week, but like Freddie Freeman had a spectacular season, and it's like he just gets overshadowed. Number one, because he's not on the East Coast anymore, and there's East Coast bias everywhere. But that Dodgers team is like the Yankees; they're just loaded, and they're going to be tough to beat. But I think the Padres have a shot there. So, all right, let's move on. What is hitting the shelves at Grand Slam this week, Josh?
So tomorrow we have 3 products that launch. On the baseball side, we have Topps Archives hobby boxes, Panini Prism Quick Pitch. I believe I said Quick Pitch Prism. That would be equivalent to like your no huddle football and your fast break basketball.
So some different parallels you can get only in that SKU.
Yep, and you're looking like hobby box, but without guaranteed autos, so it pushes the price down to closer to $100.
Okay.
So, and then National Treasures Collegiate Football is tomorrow as well. So it's collegiate, so it's not your nutty prices. The collegiate uniforms keep the price down. I think they'll be $700 a box, which sounds crazy high, but when you look at I think the last year the regular was like 4,000 or something.
Oh, crazy. Anytime you can get National Treasures anything for under $1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nuts. I've got a buddy that does he's like gobbling up National Treasures like NASCAR stuff with these nasty patches and autos, and it's like dirt cheap of like guys that are legendary here in the South. So it just baffles me. I'll never know why. It's counterintuitive to me why people don't like college stuff as much as pros. Because if you ever go, I'll put up any NFL stadium against any SEC stadium on a Saturday. It's not even close.
Yeah,
it's not even close. I mean, you will get people that your college football team could have a losing record for 8 years in a row, and they'll sell out every game. It's nuts, and it just doesn't make sense to me why collegiate football products just don't do as well as pros. It's baffling to me. It's something that I've accepted and have learned.
Yeah,
It
is odd. Yeah. The following that college teams have and these players have. Yeah, it is odd to me that there's such a price difference, but
yep.
It's just what the hobby has crowned as.
Ooh. First off the line, Impeccable Wwe.
Yeah. So Jacob, you may need to private message me. You're one of my WWE buyers. But Impeccable Wwe comes out next Wednesday, and I do have a case of it coming because I know me and him privately chatted about whether I was going to get that product or not. And I found out today I'm getting a case of it. So let me know if you want some, Jacob. Let me know privately. So,
DJ,
those are outside of some Pokemon. There's some Pokemon products that come Friday that'll be hot for the Pokemon crowd. But those National Treasures, Collegiate Football, Quick Pitch, Prism Baseball, and Archives Baseball are all tomorrow.
So Daniel chimes in. He likes the college stuff for his personal collection. Absolutely. Matt, yep, East Coast bias. Hey, Anthony, what's up, dude?
Anthony, I thought we blocked him from being able to come on here.
After
those comments last week he made behind my back on the podcast.
You keep making those comments, Anthony. I got you.
Matt, I believe it's 109 to 119. It's guaranteed under 119 a box. Might be 109, or if it's 119, join our text message marketing group and you get a 10% off coupon. So that would be $12 off of
boom
119. So
boom. All right. And Anthony he said he's your biggest supporter. All right. A couple things before we move on from New in the Shop. There's a break floating around, and guys, I think you're sleeping on this break.
Okay. Three hobby boxes.
It's a 3 hobby box break at $29. I mean, if you just do the quick math on what it would take for you to buy one of these hobby boxes, it's crazy. So, yes, we will drop the link in the show notes. It's Luminance, Score, and Elite. Let's get that thing filled.
It's half full. It's half full now.
Yep.
And I know these aren't high-end hobby boxes, but you're talking 9 autographs, a bunch of numbered cards, a boatload of rookie cards, and you never know.
And that Luminous product, I keep saying it. It's the Stadium Club of football. They're beautiful. So, and then trade night 11 this weekend, this Saturday, and I'm going to plug that again before the show ends. But let's move on. We're already at 30 minutes, and we have so much to talk about because this is something that you brought up to me, and I wanted to talk about this with the guys. There have been a lot. I watch to prep for us doing the show, and just for me to stay up to date. I watch a lot of content, a lot of YouTube content, and there's a lot of influencers saying things about this, the hobby, the sports card hobby, and the market, about it crashing, about it tanking. A lot of negative energy has been spewed out there about the hobby, and I wanted to bring that up. Josh, this is how you put food on the table. So this hits you way different than it hits me. To me, this is very much still a hobby that I love, but there's a little bit of a buffer there for me when I see things like this online. But let's talk about this. Let's unpack this a little bit. What have you been hearing? What have you been seeing? And what's your take on it?
Well, so so there's two sides to this. I would say there's the collector side and there's the business side. And for you on the collector side, this is kind of great news. Prices are coming down to earth. Everything is more affordable now than it has been in probably at least 2 years. I noticed in one YouTube video that I shared with you where Sports Card Investor was talking about this is kind of a scary time for some people. All the comments were like, man, I'm having a blast right now in the hobby because I'm able to get some things at affordable prices. You're able to walk into card shops and there's selection on the shelves. And so for the collector and the customer, I think this is an awesome time. And for some reason, it is a downtime. So those things don't equate. So we have noticed the shop is slower than it has been since COVID, because during COVID, it was nuts. The breaks aren't filling as fast as they used to. And that's standard across the board. That's not a secret to anybody. We're just, as it gets a little scarier for me because you could maybe scale back your buying, or you could take a week or two off, but we can't take any time off because we have bills and employees that need to be paid. So it gets a little scary there, but it always bounces back. I like there's an optimistic side of a down market. It's always going to bounce back. It has for 50 years. And it's a time for people. I was telling you pregame, Score hobby boxes for football last year. I remember that we sold out at $400 a box, if I remember, $399.99. Mm-hmm. I've got them on the shelf at $180 a box. And this rookie class isn't as strong, but it's not always just about the rookies. In fact, someone bought a box the other day and pulled a Justin Herbert autograph out of it. So there's veteran stuff. And this rookie class, we were talking about it with a couple customers in the store the other day. It's not as bad as people are making it out to be. It might be a little quarterback light. Some of the quarterbacks are still to come. I mean, you see Anthony's comment, Bailey Zappi or Zappa, however you pronounce his name for the Patriots. His stuff's pretty hot right now because he's looking pretty good. There's a couple ways to take it, and I would agree when the prices are down. There's a common quote. People would come into Grand Slam and they would say, man, I bet you like this, the hobby on fire like this. And, it's just sports card industry was hot. It was on fire. And I would say, I'm ready for it to cool off because it was easier to sell these products when they weren't $800 a hobby box.
Right.
When they're $299 a hobby box, it's a little easier to sell. So I like it for that in that regard. I would like more customers, like always. So we do hang our hat on a couple different things. Pokemon is really big for us, and so you'll probably see us at the shop if you're a regular. We'll focus a little more of our buying here in the near future on Pokemon. We'll chill out a little bit on the sports side, but I'm telling you, come into the shop now, these hobby box prices have never been as low as they are. We went through and did some price markdowns the other day on wax that's on the shelf. The days of $89 blasters are over. Hallelujah. We're down to 49, and hopefully we get a little cheaper than that even. We're in the 49, 59 range for some of the good blasters, and the not good ones were to 29 and 39. So prices are good. Traffic is down. I said in one of the YouTube videos that I was watching, and all the comments I was reading, and a lot of people were saying this is a great time to buy, like I was telling you. And I made a comment in there because no one knows that I own a card shop. But I said, don't forget at these downtimes, support your local card shop.
Right.
And I'm not just saying Grand Slam Rock Hill. If you're in Charlotte, support those guys up there. But if it's slow in the business, it's slow for the stores, and the stores want to be there when it turns back on. So don't forget about us, I would say. But this is a good time to buy. It really is. And the guys with really deep pockets, this will be when they're buying, so that when it bounces back, there's money to be made. And then you'll talk grading in a little bit. So there's more opportunities there. So your thought as well.
Yeah. So, certainly, we've made no bones about it. Part of the reason why Josh and I talk about ridiculous sports stuff and our lukewarm takes on teams and sports and cards is to give exposure to the shop, right? This is a thing that we're doing. We love the community we're trying to build here. And we do it so that we can build a community. We can make it an environment for people to come together and build a familiarity with you guys and Josh and people that are meeting Josh and me for the first time that come into the shop so that they buy product. That's no secret. Yep. But we've also been an advocate about doing this responsibly. There should be no reason why you're buying a hobby box when you haven't paid your bills yet. Right. And so I think what's happening is because it was just, we were in an environment to where everything was going up and up and up and up and up, that guys were able to buy hobby boxes, grade their way out of it, and come out on the plus side. Well, that is not the case anymore. It's tougher now. You got to be more strategic. It's not like throw anything at the dartboard and you're making money. Now you got to be a little bit smarter. Now you have to diversify. It's not like every rookie, there was that hot second where Bull was going crazy, right? Mm-hmm. And then everybody else saw some rookie do one thing and card prices went up. That's not the case anymore, guys. The card guys are just more savvy. They're going to want to see established guys do something. They're going to want to see rookies sort of keep up their performance so that the prices that are, most of these guys, like even Mahomes, if you look at his pricing, he's got a couple Super Bowls built into that pricing. And newsflash, he only has one. So, he's going to have to maintain his pricings. So, it's just tougher to pick the right horse these days. I was wrong on every pick that I had going into this football season. And so I think that with the whole macroeconomic thing and this downward pressure, it's easy to talk about this market in a negative way. I'm not saying that anybody's doing this because they're saying that the sky is falling so people click on their stuff. I think to talk about the market in this downward cycle is a responsible thing if you're in the hobby. But with that being said, all the videos, all the guys that I listen to or watch, for the most part, they did exactly what you said, Josh. They hit you with, wow, things don't look good in the card hobby. And then they spun out of that into, but that means for collectors, especially collectors. I mean, I am sure there are some Brady cards that are out there right now that you're like, wow. Now may be the time to scoop one of those up, because you may never see Brady's or Jordan's or LeBron's at this price again,
Yeah.
because even now, even as far down as people are talking about that the market has dropped, it's still above where it was in 2017.
Yeah.
So, I'll steal. I don't know who I heard this from, but I'll steal it. The only way you get hurt on a roller coaster is if you jump off. And so just hang on. If you believe in a player, then there's nothing wrong with holding it, holding those cards. And if they're low numbered, rare, and high grade, then you have an asset there that while it may be taking a beating now, it will come back. It will come back.
Let me speak along the same vein to George's comment here. George said the card show up in Hickory was dead with high card prices. It wasn't the same good show. So what's happening is these guys that attend these shows when prices were high, this is not rocket surgery either, but when prices were high, they bought these cards, and now a card, I'm just use round numbers, they're asking $1,000 for that they spent $800 on is now worth $700, but they won't come down below because they've got $800 into it.
Right.
And so there will come a time though where they'll just have to cut their losses and turn it back into money. So since we're at the beginning probably of this downturn, it may take a little time for for people to say, look, I may be in it for 800 and it's worth 700. I'm going to have to price it 700 or 650 and get out of it and move on. So we noticed that at the National, that we would come upon a card and we're like, hey, can you do better on that? And they would say, I've got this into it. I know that's what I got into it. So I got to have that for it. Yep. And we're like, well, that's more than what it's worth. So I just can't do it. And so we ran into that a surprising amount of times. But that's just, they're going to have no choice at some point unless they don't care about selling it and they want to hold it long term. Because there's some cards I got in the vault that it's like, I'm just going to ride out this roller coaster and they're going to come back up. And then that's the time to move it. But there will be plenty of people that are going to have to turn this stuff back into money, myself included. Down at the shop, there's some things we're just going to have to eat some loss on, turn it back into money, pump it back into something else so we can move. Yeah, George. See, that was the same thing. He's saying a lot of the guys there wouldn't listen to the comp prices. Yeah, they don't care what the comps are. They know what they have in it, and that's why they wouldn't listen to it. So they'll listen.
And I don't know what that fallacy is called. It's some fancy sales thingy, but and I learned this because I don't know if you know this, but I'm a recovering realtor. It was just pound for pound the worst realtor that you've never heard of. But I would get that argument from folks trying to sell a house. Well, I can't list my house for that. I bought it for this. And I'm like, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Person, and let me just turn this back to cards. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. or Mr. Dealer, if you got that card for free, then you should just give it away to the next person, right? Because that's what you have into it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no, I wouldn't do that. Well, then what you paid for it has nothing to do with the value of it.
Yeah.
It's a fallacy that...
How badly do you need to sell it would be what it's going to come down to.
Right. And just keep in mind, guys, the seller does not control the market. The buyer does. The buyer sets the price.
And that's kind of my point is, they won't have a choice but to have to eat some loss if no one buys the card.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen if it's just too high priced. So Yeah, we're seeing a little bit of that too. And I'm down at the shop. If you see a card in our showcase, I'll say it to people. Hey, if there's a card you're interested in there and the price seems high, let me know. Let's look it up and see what it's doing now. Cause we probably priced it at a certain price and now it's come down and we just got to adjust it. We haven't gone in and adjusted it yet. So don't let the price on there scare you. Let's talk about it and we'll wheel and deal.
Yep. Anthony, shows are a joke now. Everyone has to pull out their phones to sell cards.
I will say, I agree that it is. Just everyone's got a phone about the price and everything. But I will say, as a seller, a dealer at a show, you need to make sure that you're not getting hosed on a card. That's why I like to price my cards before I go. I know that's a lot more work, but they're not there to also sell you a $500 card for $200, So I like to quickly do a quick comp check if I haven't in a while. That's a good dealer does his comp checks before the show. So when people say, well, would you take 300 for that? They know in their head what the last comp is roughly. So, but every now and again, I got to look something up. Let me just make sure that, this guy didn't pitch a no-hitter last night and the cards are triple the price.
All right. Well, the take-home message here, guys, is that, the sky is not falling. Prices might be. The market might be down. But this market, the sports cards were here long before I was, and it'll continue.
And, there's this little bit of uncertainty with Fanatics coming down the road. We've talked a little bit about this in the past, but just think about this. The customer doesn't need to be scared about the Fanatics thing. It's going to be awesome for the customer.
Yep.
Card shops, breakers, and distributors need to be panicking. And we are a little bit, but we also know we're just going to try to adjust and do what we can do to stay afloat. But it's Fanatics is going to advertise.
Yep.
It's going to be great for the card market. We have to get through this downturn in these rough waters. And when Fanatics takes over, it's going to be different. I guarantee it, but I think it's going to be, and Sports Card Investor said the same thing. It's going to be really, really good.
Yep, absolutely. All right. We are running long here and I don't want to miss talking about this. Drop some more questions in the chat. If we need to circle back and get those, maybe even next week, we will. Grading. Holy cow. If there's two things, PSA, it's like a cat playing with three mice. This is what I'm seeing because they announced their price drop. Well, CSG sort of announced a price drop. They did actually they increased their prices and did an August special or a October special. But PSA for their bulk, here's bulk pricing now for all four companies. PSA, you can bulk grade for $18 a card, 120-day turnaround. SGC, bulk pricing, $18, 5 to 10 business days.
And probably faster.
It's way faster. I sent in a submission to them. It was 17 cards. I mailed it on Friday, and it got back to me graded by the next Wednesday.
That's insane.
It's crazy. CSG is $12 bulk, 12 days. BGS, remember them? BGS, $18 a card, no subgrades. I think it's $25 a card with subgrades, 45 to 90 days. Holy cow, grading is under $20 a card now.
Caveat, declared value under $200. So this is not
that's for that's for PSA.
Yep. Yeah. So
that's the only
sorry, go ahead.
They're the only company with declared value, I believe.
Okay. So yeah, this is aimed at lesser expensive cards. And it's your base stuff. You want to grade for $18 and make it worth 50 or 60. to this effect, I was texting with Ed just a couple hours ago, and he might be
I don't think
listening,
he's on.
or he'll
We
catch
miss
it
you,
on
Ed.
the flip flop. But he said he has been buying, grading, and reselling and doing really well lately.
Yep.
He said scouring eBay for raw cards to grade, and doing very well at that. So with this price downturn that we've talked about, there's another.
And that's the thing. And this ties in with the previous discussion. The price of cards are down. The price of grading is down. I mean, if you want to put a collection together, or if you want to start building up a war chest of desirable slabs for when this market roars back, and I think we're both in agreement that it will, this is the time to do it, guys. I mean,
yeah. Ed's exact quote was, I'm making great money finally on grading cards. I'm averaging 6 weeks return on the $18 grading.
mm-hmm.
Buying off eBay because of how many choices there are, and grading the good ones.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Good job, Ed.
George, is PSA still the king of resale? Seems like most people would have PSA. Yes. And it's not even close. I think I've said it before, SGC missed their shot to flood the market with their slabs and take more of a foothold. But man, I tell you what, 17 cards graded in less than a week.
I like it. And I like this slabs. You know me. We've shown them off here.
That's crazy. Any other thoughts on that? I mean, I think my takeaway is that PSA rules the roost here. I mean, no matter what they do, people are going to have to react. And I think what they're going to do is they're going to force people to drop their prices, and then those people are going to get overwhelmed. And then PSA is the only one that can withstand a million card backlog right now.
Yeah. Wouldn't you say SGC and the others just need to hang their hat on turnaround time then? I mean, that would be.
Yeah, because price.
3 or 4 days turnaround time is.
That's strong as new rope. I mean, it's just, the cards, and one of my cards in the vault was supposed to go through PSA. Aaron contacted me and said, this may not 10. And I know you want, he knew that I wanted to get these back for the Nashville show. And so I said, well, let me go ahead and send them on to another grading company. But that turnaround time, if you want these things, you will get, I think, a PSA 10, depending on the card, versus a SGC 10. The SGC 10 is going to get maybe 70% of what a PSA 10 does, if you're lucky. And unless it's like a vintage card or a really, really sought after card. So, George, I like sending to SGC, and if he gets a 10, then send it out to
the right card. The right card that it's got room in it to do that.
Absolutely.
Because I'm the same way. I feel like if SGC gives it a 10, you're almost guaranteed a PSA 10. Yep. Just my opinion.
Yep. The interesting one to me, and it's because I'm a baseball guy, and I like to dabble in the whole Bowman thing. There is a market for Bowman autos being in BGS slabs. There is a market. I think it's just that old school. What's that?
Because of the subgrades, or
not just that. I think because of the tradition of baseball. I think there's a lot of older money and older collectors in baseball. And since Beckett was sort of the OG grading company, there's a bit of a love affair seeing Bowman autos
Probably a little nostalgic for some
Yep.
of them. Yep.
In BGS slabs. So that's a tough one for me. At $18, I've got some Bowman autos I'm sitting on.
And they're prospects, so it's not like you're in a hurry to get them back.
Right. And so I may see what that experience is like. They're going to have to clean up their website because there are not a lot of group submitters for BGS just because there's no volume there. So, and I've started like 2 or 3 submissions on BGS, the website, and just given up because there's too much friction there. So
pull George's question up there. I want to speak to that for a second because I have this question myself. I'm curious what others' opinions are on it. My opinion is if I got an SGC 10, I'd want to send it in the slab and play mental games. That grader sees that card has an SGC 10 and it maybe primes the pump a little bit. But if I have a 9 or a 9.5,
cracking it,
I feel like I want to crack it and send it raw. Yep. Would you agree? Do you have any experience? Or Anthony, who says he likes to do that? Or does anyone else listening have any experience doing that?
So
I just feel like, I'm sorry, if I'm a PSA grader and I get an SGC card in a 9 and I'm cracking it, no matter how good it looks, I've got that 9 in my head that PSA saw something, so I got to find what it is. And
so I kept the labels, and so I'll do a little bit of a reveal. But I cracked some slabs. I didn't have the guts to do it to anything expensive, but I just wanted to see what the crossing over would be like. It's a little nerve-wracking snapping a slab. It's really nerve-wracking because you're sitting there and you're trying to hold it open and you don't want the card to fall out, but you don't want your screwdriver to hit the card. And so for me, if I think I'm snapping them all. I don't think even if it was a 10 that I would send it, because I don't even know if they're doing crossovers anymore. Like I think it's got to come. I think you got to get it out of there
raw.
Yeah. So, because if that was the case, they'd probably get overwhelmed.
Yeah, and then they got to have a whole department of guys cracking those things.
And the liability.
Yeah.
So
that's a question for Aaron. We should next time we have Aaron on, we'll ask him
absolutely.
That. He'll have some experience with that.
Well, guys, take advantage of this grading. Let us know the experience. If what I want to do is I want to get the same card, not literally the same card, but let's just say the same, let's just say an unnumbered parallel of a player that they all look great and send them to each company and just see what that experience is and get them back in hand. I think that'd be a cool experiment. So
yeah, be cool.
Anyway, we're on to card from the vault, and this episode is going to run a little long, so thank you for hanging in there with us, guys. Just a couple minutes long. Yes. So card from the vault. You want to go first, Josh?
Sure. In the spirit of the postseason and Mr. Judge that broke the American League home run record. So funny story with this. I had in the vault, I think 3 Aaron Judge rookie autos that I had just been holding, and they hadn't done anything in so long. I said, you know what? A couple of these belong down at the shop. So I said, but I'll keep one in the vault just in case. Then this year happens, and I wish I'd have kept all 3 because this is the one I did keep. They were all Panini rookie autos, but this one's out of gold standard. It's numbered to 199.
Nice.
I just thought it was the prettiest of the bunch, and I couldn't even tell you where we got it. Probably picked it up off a customer long ago in the shop, but Aaron Judge, number to 199, rookie auto out of gold standard. So
nice.
That's the only. I have a short print Aaron Judge rookie floating somewhere. That might have also made its way back down to the shop because the card hadn't done anything in so long, but it would probably cringe for me to look at it now and see what it's worth. So,
well, my cards from the vault will all probably be soccer until after the World Cup. So this was actually a card that Aaron advised me not to send to PSA because he was not sure. It ended up getting a 10.
Makes you say kaboom.
That is a Robert Lewandowski kaboom If you guys don't know who he is, he plays for Poland and he also plays for Barcelona. And he is a machine when it comes to scoring goals. So if you're into soccer, this one's I'm trying to move this one. So I'll either move it before or at the Nashville show. So hit me up.
Beautiful. Kabooms are so beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Funny stat, not a stat I heard, but a quote I heard about going back to Aaron Judge. His dad, someone posted on Facebook, his dad said to him, or Aaron Judge said, "My dad's always telling me, dude, you get like 800 at bats a year. You can't hit 80 home runs." Like, can't be that hard out of, seven. I think he was almost 700 at bats this year. It's like, can't hit 80 home runs out of 700 at bats. It's funny when you hear it that way. It's like, what? It doesn't sound that unreasonable to hit 80 home runs.
Yeah, it's such an underachiever.
That's such a strict dad thing to say.
Oh, that's a total dad thing to say.
And then another. Oh no! When we get to stat of the week, I have a second little tidbit I'll throw on.
All right, Josh, what's headed to the shop next week?
Yes,
and then we'll wrap things up.
Yep. So real quick, next week we talked about it earlier a little bit. Impeccable WWE, certified football, Spectra basketball, Panini 3-2 baseball, and Bowman Sterling. So those all for sure, along with, I'm sure, some other Pokemon stuff that comes out. And Luminaries baseball. Yes.
Nice. I think my favorite sleeper product there is going to be the Bowman Sterling. I remember this year's, or was it this year or last year's Bowman product? One of them that was just really, really good looking. That Bowman Sterling baseball is going to be really good looking. And is that's prospect heavy, but there's going to be some bangers as far as vet autos in that product as well, right?
I believe that's correct. And it's always a beautiful looking product too.
Fantastic.
And again, we've been talking about it, this little downturn in the market. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, support your local card shop. But these prices are going to be good. Like I'm looking at certified football. It was as high as $800 during COVID. I think last year it was $500. It's going to be under $300 this year.
That's nuts.
So buy it, and buy it local. But
and by now that everybody's in the pro uniforms by now.
Yep.
So these super talented position players that you're seeing in this draft class, they're going to be in their pro uniforms, like Chris Olave, and I think is it Garrett Mitchell, and some other wide receivers that are really making a splash. They're going to be in those pro uniforms, and those cards are good looking as well. So also the break, if you have not seen this break, again, it's 3 hobby boxes, Luminaries, Score, and Elite. $29 a spot, random teams. Let's get this thing filled so we can see what sort of bangers are in those hobby boxes.
In the comments, I just put a link to the break page. So go there, grab a spot. It's $29. I'd love to break it tomorrow night. If it's half full, it'd be nice to fill it by tomorrow night and break it. Otherwise, we don't want to have to scrap it. So
right. Trade night this Saturday at the shop. I think it's supposed to be great weather. I'm not sure, but I know it's been a lot cooler in the evening. So if it's going to be dry, we're going to try to set up outside, Josh, if it's dry.
Yeah, let's set some tables out on the sidewalk, open the door, keep it cool in there. We're going to give some stuff away. Keep an eye on the Facebook page for that. Do some raffles.
Yep. Looks like Saturday is clear and beautiful. So we're going to look forward to that. All right, let's wrap things up, get everybody out of here with crazy stat of the week. Let me share my screen.
Oh, and before, when you share your screen, before we do stat, the picture I sent you that George sent me from the Hickory show, do you have that? Can we throw that up there?
Oh, did you send that to me?
I sent it to you via Telegram.
Yes.
Well, here, before we do that, I'll talk about my stat. In 2022, that is the season that we just finished, Ohtani had an awesome year. We all know that. To put it in perspective, he had more home runs than Stanton. That's always an accomplishment. He had a higher batting average than Mookie Betts. He had a lower ERA than Garrett Cole, and he had more strikeouts than Justin Verlander. Like, who you give an MVP to, Judge or Ohtani?
Me?
Yeah.
Judge, because you give an MVP to a winning team. That's where I stand.
Isn't that counter to most valuable player, not most winning player? Can they do I would do co-MVP. If there's a way to do co-MVP, I would do that. But
winning's got to count for something. Winning has to count for something. So that's just my take. All right, here's that photo.
Yep. So this
boom.
So there's George's son rocking the Grand Slam Rock Hill shirt.
Nice.
Pictured with Kane.
Is that Kane? He looks.
Yeah, that's Kane.
He looks normal besides the mask.
Don't say he's small. He does not look small.
He does not look small, but he looks normal.
Yep.
So how big is he standing up?
He advertised him 7 feet tall in the WWE, so he's probably pretty close to that, I would
think. That's a monster of a man.
Yeah. That was cool. Representing the Grand Slam shirt there.
Yeah.
With his picture with King. So.
Awesome. All right. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, drop a review. Let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we're doing wrong and what you want to hear more of and less of. Josh, do you have any parting shots before we let our guys go?
No, I think we hit it all. Thanks for hanging out a few extra minutes. Come see us at the shop with some of this new product and these new low prices. Keep us in business and fill that break if you want to break it. Otherwise, we'll scrap it and sell the product down at the shop. So, but I'd rather break it with these guys. So.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Josh.
Yep. Y'all have a good night.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.